Today on In the Woodyard, I'm getting wood and we're hauling wood. I hired my logger trucker, John Corner, to move logs for me, and when he was leaving his yard, there was a bunch of logs sitting there, the stuff he's unloading right now, that he said had been sitting there for like a year. And he said, I'm going to bring you some, and if you want them, that's great. So I didn't really get a choice. I actually wanted some oak, but they had sold everything they had, so he brought these logs. Now, some of these are good enough for the processor, some of them are not, and it's a mix. There's some oak in here, there's some ash in here, there's some soft maple, some big, ugly, nasty, knotty ones, and he said it really was stuff they really couldn't sell, but he said he was going to give me a price I couldn't refuse. So it's a half a load, and I paid $100 for it, but I didn't pay for it, because you're going to see later on there's a bunch of white oak that I got, and that came from another logger, and he saw that white oak and he says, hey, he says, that white oak, I'd be interested in buying it from you. And there was maybe, I don't know, a third of a load, something like that, so less than what this was. And he said they're always looking for white pine, not white oak. And he said they're always looking for white pine, especially big ones, because they make lumber out of it. And he saw it there, so he called his son. He says, hey, could you use some white pine for one of the jobs they're trying to fill, one of the orders they're trying to fill? And he said, yeah. And he saw it, looked it over, and he said, I think I want to buy it from you. And he goes, but I can't. Of course, he can't give you a lot for it. I said, well, that load that you brought me, the stuff he's unloading right here that you're watching, I said, how about we just do a swap? You give me this, I'll sell this for firewood, and you take the white pine and you sell that for lumber. He says, that sounds fair. So that was the trade. He took the white pine in trade for this stuff. And to me, this is a little more valuable than the white pine. The white pine would have had to have been hand cut, and about half of this is going to have to be hand cut. The other half can go through the processor. But it's a lot of older, year-old. You know, the bark's all fallen off. Some of it's very dry already. You can see by looking at it how the bark's coming off. When the bark starts coming off the logs, it's pretty dry and pretty old, which is okay, because I'm selling firewood. I'm not selling veneer grade logs here. This is going to be burnt. All different sizes. Some of them are nice looking, some of them not so much, like that one. But anyway, that was the deal. So he unloaded these. This was right away in the morning, about, I don't know, it must have been 9 o'clock, something like that he showed up. And after he unloaded this, he followed me to the old wood yard, and I showed him the piles, and he started moving. Now, because it's not wood that he's selling, they kind of go by an hourly rate. And I haven't got my bill yet, so I don't know exactly what it's going to be. But I had asked him ahead of time. I asked him, I said, what do you usually charge? How do you charge? Is it by the truckload? Is it by the hour? Is it by how hard it is, or how long it takes, whatever? And he said normally they get $100 an hour to move wood. And that's whether they're loading or driving. It doesn't matter. So he got there about 9 o'clock, unloaded this. By the time we left here, it was 9:30. By the time we got to the other wood yard and we looked things over and he started loading, it was going on 10 o'clock. So he hauled 3 loads for me, and you'll see that coming up. I filmed all of it, and he was there about 6.5 hours, something like that. And I tried to condense this down as best I could, because there was a lot of loading, a lot of moving wood, and I got it down to about an hour. So I tried to speed some things up. I tried to edit out some of the stuff that didn't really matter. But here he's moving his truck. Those are their outrigger stabilizers they put down. I don't know what they call them, but they're legs. Here we are walking in. I'm kind of walking over to where I wanted him to start. So he followed me in, and I'm going to point. He's going to haul these long logs out of here first. And I told him, when I called him, there's a bunch of long ones. And he said, well, how long? I said, well, 16 footers for sure. And I said, there may be some 20 footers. And he said, oh boy, because he said 20 footers, a lot of times they're hard to fit in their cribs, but he fit them all in. There was a couple that were sticking out a little more than they probably should have been, but just so you guys know about John there up on his truck there, he owns the company that I buy a lot of wood from. And the reason I buy a lot of wood from him is he has a lot of contracts. Him and his two boys and I think a couple of his grandsons run the company. And they've got somewhere in the neighborhood of 20 to 30 employees. I don't know exactly how many. I know he has about 15 trucks that they haul wood with. And he told me on a really good day they'll send 40 loads to the paper mills. He said an average day is 30-35 loads they deliver to paper mills. So pretty big operation. They have, he was telling me they have a 5,000 gallon fuel tank. I'm pretty sure he said 5,000 gallon fuel tank at where their trucks are. And they fill it twice a month. Twice a month when they're really rocking and rolling. And that's just at their Woodyard, at their main place. And then they got tanks that are portable ones that go out to the jobs and stuff. And on a yearly basis, it's not unusual for them to buy a couple new trucks and a new dozer and a new processor for in the woods or a forwarder. I mean, they're a big operation. They own something like, he told me it was like 50 or 60 tree farms that they continuously plant, harvest and plant. And they supply a lot of soft wood, a lot of red pine they supply to the paper mills. And they are the ones that basically get the contracts for logging areas, and then they have subcontractors that will fill in and help them out and log stuff off, plus their regular crews. So I think he told me that they've got like 7 or 8 crews. It could be more than that. And a crew could be just a couple guys that are constantly cutting and hauling and moving wood. So they supply a lot of wood to a lot of pallet mills, a lot of lumber mills, and paper mills. So pretty big operation. In our state, there's 3 or 4 guys that do the volume of the big work as far as volume that goes to paper mills and lumber mills, and he's one of them. He's 82 years old, and he's retired, as you can see. He just loves to work, and he hates sitting around, kind of like me and probably a lot of you. And he could have retired probably 20 years ago and just enjoyed life, as a lot of people say. But I talked to him a few times, and he says, you know what he loves doing? This. He loves moving wood. He said he loves meeting people and supplying wood and going and talking with the guys at the different mills and the different people that he sells firewood to. And firewood's kind of been his thing for the last, that's a long one there he's trying to fit in, for the last like 15 years. He's basically been retired, and he takes care of all the firewood orders, or was taking care of all the firewood orders. And he said it's not unusual for him to do a couple deliveries a day to different guys. And so he's taking all of basically their cull wood, which is stuff like this that can't go to a paper mill and can't go to a lumber mill. Things like the dead barkless oak and the dead ash, the stuff that's the not desirable quality lumber type logs, or the logs that are not the kind of species that they want for the paper mill. So he moves a lot of firewood. One of his guys delivered the 3 loads that I got on my dad's property. You saw this last winter. That came from them. And his son buys all the wood, so he's the buyer. He'll go and look at it and make bids on what they wanna buy, and because they have the contracts for the mills, so they're constantly looking for wood to buy to fill the orders that they have, or if they've got an open contract, they're always looking for more, because obviously they want to keep their people working and they want to keep the money coming in, because moving wood is what they do. So very, very nice guy. He's been in business for a very long time. I think at one time when he was younger, he either worked in sales or something like that. He told me once what it was, I can't remember, but he started doing firewood, him and his wife, with a pickup truck, and he said they would deliver it to people and stack it for them. And so he started in firewood years and years and years ago, and then started logging and started trucking, and now they got quite the operation, and he's quite the character. He likes to work, and last year he was, I think, either he was getting off or getting on those steps you see right in front of you there. He slipped and fell backwards and landed on his back and broke his neck like in 3 places, or his back. And so he was out of work for a while, and he told me when he went to the doctor told him, he says, well, when did you break your back the first time? And he says, what are you talking about? He says, well, I can see here you got some different spots that were broken, healed over. He says, I don't know, I fell and hurt myself lots of times. So he's that kind of guy. Like a lot of you guys probably too, is that it just keeps going. So like I said, he says he's at the point now though where he really can't work that hard anymore. He says he's only good for about a half a day and he gets tired. So, but he's 82 and he's still working, still loves what he does, still loves being outside and being productive. I hope to be as productive as he is at his age when I'm that age. Be a good thing to be able to like what you do and just want to do it. I think a lot of guys look at, I'm looking forward to retirement and not working and not doing the things they have to do every day, and because they hate their jobs. But I've been blessed, and I know John has too, is that I love what I do every day. I get asked quite often, when am I going to retire? And I kind of have the same answer most of the time. I retired in 1982, and I was 20 years old because I got a job doing what I love to do. I was a photographer and still am, kind of trying to retire a little bit from that, but I've been doing it for 44 years, and I was pretty decent at it. I liked it, had fun with it, and I like being busy. And then I started a couple other businesses that I did on the side, and started the firewood thing like 15 or so years ago, selling it. I mean, I've always cut wood, but I started selling it, and it turned into quite a adventure. And now with the firewood and YouTube and repping for some different companies and stuff, it's a blast. I'm looking forward to actually doing more and keeping at it, because I really enjoy being outside, getting the exercise. And that's one of the main reasons I started cutting firewood on a full-time, I should say full-time, a basis of selling wood, besides just for myself. I enjoyed doing it so much, I produced so much that I had to do something with it, so I started selling it. And it just kept growing and growing and growing, and now I do quite a bit and enjoy every bit of it. The nice thing about it is if I decide I want to work a real long day and have a lot to do, I can work a 12 or 14, 15-hour day, enjoy it, because I like it. And then there's other days it's like, I think I'll do something else, and I don't work at all. And then there's days where I'll go on trips or weeks and do stuff. So being your own boss is one of those things that it is a double-edged sword. I think a lot of people don't realize that just because you're self-employed, everybody thinks, you just, you get to go to the bank with bags of money, or you get to take off whenever you want, and you don't have to work if you don't want to. But being self-employed generally means you work all the time. Even when you're not working, you're thinking about work. Even when you're not making money, you're trying to think of ways you can make money, and you're trying to make sure you pay the bills and cover your overhead and try to grow the business, and you're always trying to plan ahead, and you're always, whenever you're not at work, you're thinking about work. So it doesn't end. But if you enjoy it, it really isn't bad. I have a lot of fun with it, and I think a lot of you guys probably do too. So anyway, John is putting a load of the big logs on here, and a lot of that stuff you can see is cracked, like that one there that's in the front bunk, that is the second one down, the bark is off of it. It's cracked all the way through, right to the middle, in half. So I mean, a lot of that stuff is going to be bone dry when I cut it and split it, which is good because it's a mix of everything. These logs there's soft maple, there's birch, there's ash, There might be some basswood in there. There's some pine in there. There's some hickory in there. It is a wide variety. And when John saw it, he says, "Where did you get that?" I said, "Well, it came from a line that they put in." And I said, "It's just everything." And he says, "Man," he said, "usually you don't see that many different species all mixed in." I said, "Well, it's a lot of different ones." And he said, "A lot of really good straight logs here." And when he found out that it was stuff that came locally, he was just surprised, because he said, "Usually you don't get that good as straight logs. Usually in our type of country, you get a lot of crooked stuff." So he was kind of surprised to see these long logs and what kind of condition they were in. So it's going to be nice running those on the processor. I'm kind of looking forward to it. So, and that, to answer another question, people want to know, when am I getting the processor back? Well, they told me it's going to be a few weeks, and they have a lot of orders ahead of it. They're trying to take care of their customers first, and they're trying to do the upgrades to the machine, because I got one of the first ones, and since that they first came out, they're changing a few things. They're improving the hydraulics by putting a dampener on the ram, so when it goes back, it's smoother. They're speeding up the infeed off of the live deck into the trough, and they were, I think they're building some new wedges, and there was a few other things. Oh, they're upgrading the outfeed. He's just like a surgeon!
I made quite a hole in that pile, didn't I?
Oh yeah, I didn't think you'd get that much on.
I didn't think so either, because them long ones are bastards.
Oh yeah, but, well, that's awesome.
So we got her made now, so I'll just pull up and get this. And I'll probably get printer all that pile on.
Yeah, oh good. All right, so when we get there, I'm gonna have you put all these long ones towards the highway.
Okay.
On the farthest over, so right in that center. That way it gives me more room in the middle, you know what I mean? And
how far off the...
You can go off 3-4 feet.
Okay.
Right in there. Just stick them right in there, because I can pull them out, no problem.
Yeah. I didn't think that the long ones were going to go in here, but they did.
They did, yeah.
I had to
you had to negotiate a few of them. Oh, yeah.
I watched for some shorter long ones.
Oh, yeah.
Okay.
All right, we'll see you over there. you.